After 2 years in captivity, the remaining 20 living hostages were released. Following that momentous day, we're taking a look at what's ahead for the ceasefire agreement. Plus, could NHL make a return to the Valley? Two advocates sharing why they're pushing to bring pro hockey back to the desert. It's all that and more this evening on Broomhead. Welcome, I'm Mike Broomhead. Before we jump into today's interviews, let's take a look at one of the top stories. It's been a little over 2 years since Hamas terrorists crossed Gaza and into Israel, where they murdered over 1,200 people and took over 250 hostages. Since that time, the war has waged on as Israel has gone in to ensure that Hamas will never be able to do this again to the Israeli people. There was a time when there was a good rapport between Palestinian citizens actually working and thriving in Israel, and we may get back there. But this war has taken a toll on everybody involved. The Palestinian people have been decimated, and so has Gaza, but the Israelis themselves have suffered. We asked the Deputy Consul General, Yulia Rachinsky, how does Israel define success, and do they see this peace deal as a stepping stone toward long-term political agreements? Here's what she had to say.
Israel defines success in two terms. One is bringing back all of our hostages. When I'm talking about all the hostages, I mean both alive and the bodies. So we did see a few days ago our alive hostages are back to their families. Finally, they were able to reunite with their families. Unfortunately, we haven't seen the return of the deceased hostages yet. So we have, in total, we have 28 hostages who are not alive anymore, and Hamas only returned the bodies of 9 of them, which means they were not able to fully implement the first step of the deal, which we are patiently waiting for the bodies to be brought back to Israel. But for now, we only got 9 of them, so we still have a way to go in that respect. The second step, which will define a success, it's definitely demilitarization of Hamas. We defined it as one of the declared goals of the war. So Hamas needs to be demilitarized completely. They have to be eliminated as a military and also administrative power in the Gaza Strip. And that's something that we are really hoping to see after all the steps of the deal are implemented.
I think the biggest issue is going to be trust. We've heard about peace agreements in the past, but can Hamas be trusted? In the days that followed the initial agreement where hostages were released, all of the living hostages were. But as you know, there were some of the hostages that had not lived, whose bodies, whose remains were still not turned over. That's one part of it. But in the days that followed, Hamas started taking up arms against the clans of Palestinians that were against Hamas, that were standing in opposition. So we know the killing continues. This time, it is Hamas going after Palestinians with weapons. Will they disarm? And when they disarm, will it last forever? That's always the question. Coming up, the remaining 20 living hostages have been released and the ceasefire agreement is in place. But will the future continue to be peaceful? A survivor of the October 7th attack gives us his thoughts after the break. It's important to recognize and thank the fine Arizona men and women who are serving in our country's military. One of the ways we like to do that is through a segment called From Arizona for America, brought to you by my good friends at Sanderson Ford. So join me in honoring Seaman Apprentice Jason Lawrence, a native of Payson, Arizona. He's stationed in Great Lakes, Illinois. For a list of more of our friends and neighbors that are from Arizona for America, just go to the Broomhead page at cw7az.com. All eyes on the Middle East. Great news out of the Middle East as hostages have been released. Speaking with us now is one of the survivors of the music festival at the Nova Music Festival, Ram El-Hai. Ram, first of all, thank you for doing this with us.
Thank you. Thank you for the host and the interview.
I'd like to take you back just for a moment. Almost 400 people murdered that day at the music festival, 40 people taken hostage. What was it like surviving that day and the days beyond watching this war for the last 2 years? It must have been heartbreaking.
of course. I mean, that day, I can say for me, it was a miracle. It's really a miracle that I'm here speaking with you right now. October 7 was start with lights, with party, with happiness and joy and dancing, and it very quickly became a war zone, battlefield with murdering, raped, and you can see hatred in their eyes, and it's strange and sad how such joy and happiness switched to that sad situation.
When the when the war was happening, when the Israelis were going in and they were doing their best to stop Hamas, but there were prisoners, there were hostages that were taken, and all this time for these hostages to be released. Now that there's been a release of hostages, do the Israeli people believe that peace is attainable with the Palestinians in Gaza?
Well, that's a good question. Like, I'm not representing any political organization or something, but thank God, first of all, after the hostages that got released, we can start with and start to healing ourselves, because those 2 years was traumatized, and all what we care about it is to bring home our brothers and sisters. And also, let's not forget, they didn't bring all the hostages. They bring all the life hostages, but there is still bodies that's still in Gaza, and the Hamas still don't not doing what he was supposed to do, what he signed on, to bring everyone, also the life and the death. So first of all, we're gonna need to wait and to do everything that to bring the bodies home. We own that to the families. We own that for them. And after the Hamas bring everyone home, we can talk about peace and healing and life together.
There have been attacks by Hamas on Palestinians and Palestinian groups that were kind of against Hamas in Gaza. The president of the United States says that Hamas will disarm, or they will be disarmed. Do you believe that those words from the American president will be critical in getting Hamas to disarm?
I hope. I mean, everybody think that the Palestinian problem is Israel, but no, the Palestinian people, the main problem is the Hamas terror, because you see now when IDF, it's not in Gaza, so just the Hamas is there. So what he's doing is killing Palestinians. The IDF was here to do order, and also he helped to the Palestinian people. And if Trump need to be involved with that, yes, of course. I hope he will make it if they're not gonna do what they signed for. So yeah, someone need to be involved, and someone need to take care of that area.
What would you like to see happen to ensure peace? In your mind, what would ensure that the Palestinian people and the Israelis can live in peace? What would you need to see to believe that that's truly happening?
Well, in my perspective, first of all, I think we need to clean the area from terror, from weapons, and the Hamas need to destroy completely. And from that, we need to start to build from the beginning, and it starts from education. They teaching the little children to hate Jews and kill people since they born, and that is the main problem. They need to switch all the education system. They need to bring people from outside to make sure that nobody involved with terror we're gonna get inside of the area, and it's gonna take a long time, but we need to start with a new generation.
Ram, I appreciate the time. I'm so glad that you're willing to share your story with the world. I think it's an important one to tell, and thank you for sharing it with our audience.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
God bless you, sir. Coming up, since the Coyotes left in 2024, there's been a push to bring the NHL back to the Valley. Will the effort be a goal or a missed shot? Find out when Broomhead returns. All right, welcome back. Big news. We might have all the major sports back in the Valley if this man has anything to say about it. Joining us is Thomas Galvin from the Board of Supervisors. Thanks for doing this.
Hey, Mike, great to see you.
So you had said this early on that when you became chairman that you wanted to get hockey back in the Valley, and we've taken a big step in this. So can you explain what happened and who you've asked to be on board?
That's right. Well, when I became chairman of the Board of Supervisors in January, I made an announcement that I was forming an advisory panel of local leaders to help bring NHL hockey back to Arizona. And it's not just a sports issue. We're sports fans, but also it's an economic development issue, and also it's a reputational issue. And I'm proud to announce that Andrea Doan, the wife of Shane Doan, but also the mother of former Coyotes player Josh Doan, is the chair of our committee. And she and I are very excited, and we're working hard together. What we're doing is putting together political, business, and local leaders to show the NHL that Arizona does deserve a hockey team. It's just got to go in the right spot.
Can you imagine having anything to do with hockey in this town and not having the name Doan attached to it?
That's such a great question. The Doan name is synonymous with hockey in Arizona, and Shane played for the Coyotes for 20 years, left his blood, sweat, and tears on the ice. But Shane and Andrea have done a lot for the community, as you know.
Yeah.
They are philanthropists. They love the Valley. They stayed here in the Valley. Shane had opportunities to play with other teams, to go to other cities, and they say, no, we're committed to Arizona. And also the Coyotes went through a series of really bad ownership groups who, frankly, I think put the Doan family through the ringer, but the Doan stuck it out. So the obvious choice was a Doan name to be part of this effort.
And isn't it true that when you talk about youth hockey and coming up in that sport, that they help build it because their kids are product of it?
That's right. So Andrea raised an NHL player here in the desert in Arizona, and there's a lot of other great NHL players, including Austin Matthews, who also plays with the Toronto Maple Leafs, who came as a product of this system. And so what Andrew and I are doing, we had a press conference last week where we had it with kids. We had it with kids who play hockey. We had it at one of the ice rinks here in town. And we said, if we're going to do this effort to bring hockey back to Arizona, pro hockey, we're going to do it from the bottom up as a community-minded effort. And having 100 kids at that press conference, I think, made a really good impression.
So when you look at what this is going to look like, you're going to need to find an ownership group that the NHL approves of and that you approve of, that's good for the Valley, and a venue. How does that work?
Right. So only two tasks, but
only two.
Only two, but so important. And I've met with NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman, and that's exactly how we lined it out. But it wasn't a surprise to me. He goes, Tom, you need to find an owner. You need to find a location. For an owner, we need to find a billionaire. So if you know anyone, Mike, please send them my way.
Oh, of course. I've got them all on speed dial.
But that's just the way that it is with pro sports these days. But we want to find someone, and this is important for the Doan family, someone who cares about the Valley, cares about Arizona, but also cares about the sport of hockey, doesn't just see this as a dollars and cents issue. And also it's about location, because in my opinion, Coyotes fans are great fans. But the place where the Coyotes play just wasn't a good location out in Glendale, frankly. And so we got to find a good location, either downtown Phoenix, somewhere in the East Valley, somewhere where everyone here in the metro region can find access to the stadium. And that's also important for the Doans and myself.
And I know that you are someone that is so fiscally responsible and fiscally conscious of things. The revenue that is driven by an industry like hockey, and it is the games that happen, and it is the businesses that surround the arena, but it's television revenue. It also is the All-Star game and the Chamber of Commerce moments that you can't really pay for. You can't put a dollar value on.
Right. If you have a hockey game in February and it's 72 degrees and sunny outside, people watching either in Canada or in the Northeast will be like, wow, it's beautiful out in Arizona. We should go visit, or maybe we should go move out there. Also, as an economic development question, when the Coyotes left town, businesses were affected. There was a secondary and tertiary market of businesses that were affected. I heard from people that said, we were the caterer for the Coyotes. That's 81 days a year that you're providing food to these teams and to their guests. We also heard from the dentist for the Coyotes, which I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. They need a dentist.
They sure do.
So a lot of different businesses were affected than just a hockey team.
Well, I want to say thank you as a citizen of Maricopa County, but a hockey fan as well, that A, you're not only doing it, but you're committed to doing it the right way. And with a name like Doan attached, I believe we're going to get quality along with everything else.
That's right. We have to under-promise, over-deliver. This is a years-long process, but I think people see that we're doing it the right way, and I'm very optimistic.
Appreciate the time today, and I can't wait to talk more about this as it progresses.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, great news. We'll be back. Coming up, we're continuing our conversation about bringing the NHL back to Arizona. See why Andrea Doan, wife of former Coyotes captain Shane Doan, is leading the charge for the Coyotes to come back. That's next on Broomhead. Exciting news recently that we may actually get professional hockey back here in the Valley, and a familiar name in the hockey world, the Doan name, except this time it's Andrea Doan who is heading up this advisory committee. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
I was so happy to see your name attached to this because we all love Shane and what he's done for hockey here in the Valley. But to have your family attached to this, it really does give us hope that this is going to be something that's great for the Valley. Can you talk about why you're doing this?
Yeah, I mean, we were so thrilled when we got the call from Tom to, when he was saying that they're putting a committee together, especially because he is so involved with the political side in Maricopa County and sort of understands that aspect of it, which we've really known from the beginning that the city needs to be on board, this has to be a collaborative effort. And that's what was so exciting about a committee that was being, spearheaded by Tom, who's involved in that side.
This Valley has shown a love for hockey. When those teams were playing so well, your husband has always been such an icon in sports here. The game of hockey has really been embraced by the Valley. It just seems like the ownership, we could never get enough stability long term to make it grow the way it needed to. How is this going to be different this time in choosing an owners group and a place to play? What's going to be different?
Well, I think honestly, like you said, it is a sports city. It's a sports community. Not having the 4 sports now in Arizona is a huge blow. And a lot of the political leaders and community leaders have realized that. And it was a little bit of it just kind of happened really fast. And yeah, to your point, it's sort of been this uphill battle where there has been issues with the arena, the location, and the stability has been tough. And so I think now, look, if this is going to happen, it has to happen the right way, right from the beginning. It has to be in the right location. The ownership group and the stability and the understanding of what goes into sports franchise, specifically hockey. Yes, it has to be understood right from the beginning, and the collaboration with other sports, like community leaders, the grassroots supporters. It's everyone coming together and bringing back the Coyotes. Yeah, it'll be activating like everybody's networks and colleagues and getting this done the way that it needs to.
Well, I also think that having the right people matters. And so you look at what the Diamondbacks have done with Randy Johnson and with Gonzo. Steve Nash is now back with the Suns. These are people that love the sport, but they love the Valley and they are loved by the Valley. Well, the Doan family fits in that perfectly. You love the sport, you know the game, but this Valley loves you. And to have you be a part of this, I think, is instrumental.
Yeah, we're thrilled to do whatever it is that we can. We know this isn't going to be quick. It's gonna take time. And the hockey community, though, it's small. Like we all know each other, and even the past players that have gone through Arizona. To your point, there is a huge community of alumni that either played for the Coyotes or just played in the NHL and have retired in Phoenix. And they're even like, whatever we can do, like we're all on board. And so it is like hockey and the culture that it brings. And to your point, the importance that it is for us and for our family and for the Valley, for the state. It's something that there's so many people that are wanting to support and get this done.
I have about a minute left. I want to ask you about interest in ownership. When people find out that it's possible in the Valley, the Doan family attached, the NHL, are you getting interest? And I'm not asking to give too much away, but are you getting a lot of interest from potential owners?
There's honestly been interest from the second that the team moved, if I'm being honest. Like the next day, there were phone calls going out about what could get done and, people wanting to be involved. So yes, I can't say a lot, but there is a lot of interest and, there's a lot going on.
Well, I have to tell you, I am so thankful that your family is still invested and still involved here in the Valley. And for you to reach out and be willing to take all of your time to do this means a lot to a lot of us that are huge fans. And thank you so much for coming on and explaining it to the audience.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, we'll be back. Every Sunday here on Broomhead, we ask a new poll question. This week's question is, will you vote in this year's election? All you have to do is head over to cw7az.com/Broomhead to respond to the poll question. Thank you for joining us this week. We'll see you next Sunday on Broomhead.